Health. Welcome back to our second lesson of this week, where we're continuing on with the measurements of health status within Australia as a population. I'm going to quickly recap what we did the other day, very, very quickly, and then I'm going to introduce two brand new concepts today. Concepts that are some keywords, so also we need to be using our glossary as we move forward, and also a little bit of a task that's going to allow me, when I look through your work, to see whether you're understanding this or not. I do want to remind you that I am available. Send me an email. I can set up another Zoom. We can have a bit of a chat if you are concerned with any of this work. Otherwise, all I'm going off is the work that you're submitting, which at the moment has been looking pretty good for most of us. And just going on, yes, you're tracking well, no, you're not. And we have an outcome task next week, which I'm hoping all of you are going to do really well on that and work towards achieving your S in this subject for a satisfactory result. But again, I can't help you if you're not letting me know where your concerns are or it's not being flagged in the work that you're presenting to me. So I'll just show you very, very quickly where we're up to. A reminder that we're right now in week 2 over here. So we're in lesson 5 and we're still focusing on the measurements and indicators of the Australian health status. And that's our topic again for next week. And then we have our outcome task about all of the work within the first 3 weeks. Where are we accessing the information for today? Well, your YouTube link will be there. I just need to add that in once this video is filmed. And there is a website that you need to go to, which is a link there for you. And as a reminder, when you finish, it is in the term 3, week 2. I need more submissions from people's work. I think we forgot that at the end of last week, at the end of Monday's work. And then over here in your resources, we're in term 3, week 2. You won't be using the Venn diagram yet. That is for tomorrow. You need the PowerPoint for the Australian health status and also this document for the glossary. You should have already downloaded that, and you'll just continue to add towards that glossary. So this is the glossary, and you're going to hear about mortality specifically today. Okay, we've already learned a little bit about life expectancy, but we need to start adding to this glossary. You might even choose to add trends after we go through what we go through today. So please make sure that you are finding out exactly all of the glossary terms that you need and continually adding to it. All right. So reminder to you that there are different indicators that indicate whether we are healthy or unhealthy in terms of individuals or a population for our health status. And I went through just verbally a few of these, and we needed to start breaking into them. So we looked at life expectancy. Okay, so we did a bit of a self-assessment. We looked at what life expectancy is. We looked at some trend there, and now we're on to this newest one. And I'd like you to remember this pencil icon here is to take some notes right now. So, mortality is actually talking about death. It's talking about death at a whole population level, and it is talking about death in terms of how many people die per 100,000 in a 12-month period. So if you have a population of 200,000 people and there were 50 deaths across 1 year, then the number and the rate would be 25 per 100,000 people in that 12-month period. It always helps standardizing down to 100,000 when we're dealing with populations, so you can compare country to country, state to state, territory to territory, etc. One of the other things that we can look at here is the years of life lost. One YLL, or years of life lost, is equal to 1 year of life lost due to premature death in comparison to the life expectancy of what age we learnt from Monday that people should be living to according to the data. So the mortality rate is given as to how many deaths occurred in a population in a given period for specific causes. And we'll talk about the specific causes momentarily as we move through this PowerPoint. So here's a look at some of the data. And what you'll notice is that health is a very data-heavy subject. So if you don't really like reading data, you're going to have to get a little bit more familiar and used to it. This looks like a whole bunch of jumbled numbers, and we need to make sense of it. Over on the left-hand side here, we're talking about age categories, 0 to 4 years old, 5 to 9 years old, etc. Then we have a column for males and a column for females. And then when we average those out, we just have an average of all persons, male and female. And then this ratio, it may look like it's 1 to 1 for those mathematicians that know what a ratio looks like, but it's actually not. It's actually the ratio of how many more males than females. So this one here is 1.1 males to 1 female. This one here is 2.3 males to 1 female. This one here is 2.5 males to 1 female. What that means is that for every 1 female that passes away, 2.5 males pass away in number trends. So when we look at these numbers, a reminder that we are dealing with the number of people in this category, so this is males, 91 males out of 100,000 males passed away in the year. 10 males out of every 100,000 passed away in that year. 8 females out of 100,000 passed away in that year. So we're looking at the rate in which the amount of people per 100,000 are dying in that given year. That is the mortality rate. Here's a question for you. What do you think the leading causes of mortality is in youth? What do you think are the leading causes of death rates in youth? You can pause the video and write an answer to that question after you've filled in those notes of what mortality is. Now that you've unpaused it, we're going to have a look at what does the data tell us. Well, this is what the data tells us. And I really don't think I need to break this graph down. That would just be taking up time that you need to spend in trying to actually look at how to read a graph. So very quickly, males and females here, males down the bottom, females up above. There's age category breakdowns, 10 to 14 years, 15 to 19. There's number of people per 100,000, and the color coding over here tells you what the cause of death is. So you can try and see now whether what you thought or what you had guessed in the youth category, 10 to 19, was correct or not. And as we can see, injuries plays a large portion in males and females across all of those 10 to 19 years. Now, I've mentioned this word quite a few times, and it's the last thing we're going to look at today, and then you need to start using the skills of mortality rates and trends. So a trend, back to your notes, is a general movement or pattern, and trend data is what we read when we look at graphs that are collected from real life data, and it's telling us a story, what has been happening, what might happen in the future if this trend continues the way that it's currently going. So let's have a look at this next slide here. This is a trending graph. Would you say that it's trending downwards or upwards or staying steady? Well, I would look at this first graph and see that downwards motion of my mouse and say this graph is trending downwards. I would say that this graph here is trending slightly downwards but staying relatively stable. They're two trends I can see before I've even looked at what is the graph telling us. So let's have a look. The death rate for those aged 15 to 19 was around 30 per 100,000. That still sounds like quite a lot. However, if you look at the trend in the data, it's actually had a significant decrease across the years. So the 30 per 100,000 in that category is actually a really good number in comparison to the 110 that we had over here. Excuse me for sneezing there. What I would like you to do now is, now that I've shown you this trend, and again, this is mortality rates, the number of people per 100,000 that have passed away per year category, and in the age brackets given. I'm going to give you this graph, and I'm going to ask you to identify the trend in the graph. And after you've identified the trend in the graph that you can see there, I want you to explain why they have higher rates of obesity than the other group. I'm going to hit you pause on this one if you can, and write into your notes what the trend is that you see. In fact, I can see two trends in this graph, one males to females and one major cities to regional. And then I would like you to explain one reason why you think there is the trend that you can see in either males to females or major cities to regional. Fantastic. If you go back over to Compass now, guys, and in today's lesson plan, there is a website here that I'd like you to go to. And when you go to this site, it actually has some really good articles and data. It is the Institute of Health and Welfare website, official website from the Australian government. And it's got some data in here that is as close as 2018 and 2019, and it's very prominent for us. And there's some trends in death, trends by sex or gender, trends by cause of death. And what I would like you to do is have a read of what it says here, have a look at the graphs presented, and I want you to tell me two things. Firstly, select one of them, either trends by sex or trends by cause of death. What are the trends that are coming out of this? And then what I would like you to do is actually pinpoint some data on the graph, some real life numbers that you can read that help back up what it's saying in here. However, I don't want you to use the data that has been written about in the paragraphs above. So if you choose trends by sex, you're going to read through this paragraph here. You're going to find out what those trends are. Then you're going to look for them here. If the data that they've used is 2017, okay, and 1968, you need to use a couple of different years to show me that you can read the graph and find the same trend that they're talking about. And the same thing over here with cause of death. That should be heaps and heaps of work for today's lesson. Again, I'm setting you 40 to 50 minutes worth of stuff. I want your mindfulness to come in. I want you to feel comfortable. I want you to have time, if you need to pause the video, go get a drink of water and ask me if you need anything. Our Zoom for the first 10 minutes can clarify our understanding so far. And tomorrow, we actually have one major task that we're going to be completing that's going to take the majority of that 75 minutes before we start introducing what the outcome task for next week will be. Hopefully you're enjoying this. Hopefully you're learning something now that we're into some new content. If you have any questions, let me know, and hopefully I'll see you soon, or I'll see you on the Zoom. Catch you guys.